Hello and hi everyone. Welcome back to my YouTube channel Syuhada Patana. So today we will continue from the last video on selection structure. Before we go further, let me recap a little bit on selection structure part 1. Before this, we already learned about logical expression, relational operator and Boolean operator that we might use in our programming. By now, you should be able to know what is the function for each operator and how it works. Other than that, I also introduced to you about two types of selection structure, which is one-way selection and two-way selection. After that, we also learn about the use of compound statement, which is involving the use of curly braces after if and else statement. So, back to the main point. In this video, I will share with you about third types of selection structure, which is multi-way selection. After that, we will see about some error that might happen when we use if and else statement and how to do indentation. And lastly, I will share with you about the switch structure. So first, let me see what is multi-way selection. Multi-way selection is used when there are many different instructions to be executed depending on the condition, which means it has more than two alternative or more than two conditions need to be executed. In multi-way selection, it can be implemented using two ways, which is nested if statement and switch case statement. So some problems require the implementation of more than two alternatives. As we all know, user also can include multi-selection path in a program by using an if-else structure. If the action statement itself is an if or if-else statement. When one control statement is located within one another, it's said to be nested. So let me see what is the first example of nested if statement. So as you can see, I already highlighted four alternatives for this problem. So the blue one is the first condition, and then this red one is the second condition, the purple one is the third condition, and otherwise for the green one, it will be the fourth condition. So basically this problem has four alternatives, which is we need to use the multiple selection path. So next, let me see what is the C++ program to solve the previous problem. So as you can see here, I use the double data type for the account balance. And then same goes to the interest rate, I use the double data type. So here, as we all know, we have four alternatives. So there are four alternatives here. So first is balance more than or greater than 50,000. So the interest rate is 0.07. Why it is 0.07? Because I already convert the 7% to the decimal places or decimal value. So the second condition is if the balance is greater than equal 25,000, and then the interest rate is 0.05, and then the third condition is balance greater than equal 1,000, the interest rate is 0.03, else or mean other condition or other value, the interest rate is 0.0. So if the compiler already compile or run the condition, it will show the interest rate. Next, let we see the second example of nested if statement. The problem here is to determine the graduation status of the student based on their CGPA. As you all can see, I use the data type float for CGPA. You also can use double as a data type for CGPA. So what is the differences between float and double? The difference is the precision itself. So you can see here, the first condition is if CGPA greater than equal 2.0, the program will display to the user, "Congratulations, you can graduate this year." Other than that, if you can see here, there are another if in the if statement, which is if the CGPA is greater than equal 3.0, you are in Dean list. So if the first condition not true, so the program will show to the user, which means the CGPA is less than 2.0. The program will show to you your CGPA is below graduation requirement and you need to see the academic advisor. Next, we move on the third example of nested if statement. So the problem here is to determine whether a student is qualified to run for MPP election or not. So the next sentence is about the condition itself, what you need to put in the condition. So in order to qualify, a student must have a CGPA at least 2.7. If their CGPA is between 2.7 and 3.2, they must have merit of at least 30 points. Student with CGPA more than 3.2 must have merit at least 15 points. So next, let me see the C++ program for the problem on determining the eligibility of student to join for MPP election. So first here, student user need to input the CGPA and the merit. So as you can see on the second sentence of the question is stated here, the student must have at least 2.7 in order to get the election. So automatically here, if the CGPA is less than 2.7, the student will not be qualified. So else, if the CGPA less than equal 3.2, and if the merit is greater than equal 30, then it say it qualified. But if the merit is less than 30, then the student is not qualified. So this is the third condition. If the merit is greater than equal 15, then the student is qualified. But if the merit is less than equal 15, then the student is not qualified. So this is some nested if solution that could be simplified by combining the condition into large Boolean expression. You can refer to the previous slide. The nested if in the box could be simplified as below. So as you can see here, it is combining of a few Boolean expression in one condition. So you look more simplified simple compared to the previous code. Next, show about another way of writing the previous code using bool variable. As we all know, the bool variable or bool data type can only consist of two values, which is 0 or 1, which means 0 indicate the false and 1 indicate the true. So you can use the bool variable. So here, as you can see, there are two bool variables, which is condition 1 and condition 2. Next, let we move on serial selection structure. So what is meant by serial selection structure? It means there must be at least two selection structure that is done in a series. As you can see in the flowchart, there are two selection structure in one series. This is another example of serial selection structure. The problem here is to determining the largest of three numbers. User need to input three numbers, and then we will find the largest between all those three. So as you all can see, there are series of if statement. So we assign first the max value is A. So if B is greater than max, then we assign B as a max. But then if C is greater than max, then we assign C as a max. Then lastly, the program will show to you about the largest number depending on the max value. Please, you can try it at home and try it yourself using the .c++. This is another note that I provide to you. So you must know that in C++, eternally the value true is represented as 1 and the false represented as 0. Other than that, non-zero value is interpreted as true and 0 value is interpreted as false. Next is some common error that usually happen if you use the if-else statement. So first is by putting semicolon after a condition. So if you put semicolon after a condition, there might be no error, but it will become the logic error. Your output will not produce as you want. Secondly is people usually forget to put curly braces for compound statement in the else section, if and else section. Next, we move on indentation. So indentation here does not determine the if-else pairing, but proper indentation will communicate the pairing. So what is the function of the indentation itself? It will make the coding more readable and easier to understand. So how to indent? This is show about the indentation of if-else statement. The statement inside the if part and inside the else part should be indented slightly to the right and be aligned on the same column, as you can see in the example. And then let me see how to indent for compound statement. So there are two alternatives to indent for compound statement. So first, by matching braces for compound statement should be aligned on the same column, as you can see on alternative 1. And then for second alternative, you can put the left braces on the same line with if, and else the right braces is aligned with if and else. Other than that, if also for compound statement, if should be aligned with its partner. This show that if we do the indentation well, the proper indentation will make the other programmer easy to understand your code. So next, let me see, there are 3 alternatives that show the indentation for multiple if-else based on a single variable. So this is the first alternative, as you can see. The second alternative, and then this one is the third alternative. It is dependent on you. There is no right and no wrong. So let me move on the last part of this video, which is switch structure. So there are 2 selection structure in C++, either using if and if-else statement or using switch structure. The first selection structure, which is implemented with if and if-else statement, usually required the evaluation of logical expression. So we already learned in part 1, selection structure part 1, we already learned about the logical expression. And then for the second selection structure, which does not require the evaluation of logical expression, is called the switch structure. This structure gives the computer the power to choose from many alternatives. So this figure shows the general syntax of switch statement. In switch structure, the first expression is evaluated. The value of the expression is then used to choose and perform the action specified in the statement and follow the reserved word case. The expression can be an identifier or an expression. As you can see in the figure, it shows the flow of execution of switch statement. So let me explain to you how this flow of execution is done. So the switch statement executes according to the following rule. So first, when the value of the expression is matched against a case value, or also known as a label, the statement executes until either a break statement is found or the end of the switch structure is reached. And then second rule, if the value of the expression does not match any of the case values, the statement following the default label executes. If the switch structure has no default label, and if the value of the expression does not match any of the case values, the action of the switch statement is considered as null. So last rule is, what is the function of the break statement? So break statement will do immediate exit from the switch structure. So let me see what is the first example for switch structure. As you can see, for the first example, the problem here to determine the grade point of the student based on their grade using switch structure. So for the input part, we will do as usual. User need to enter the grade, and then here we can see the switch structure. So grade is the identifier for this cases. So if case A, which means if the user enter an A, character A. So you can see here also, I already declare the grade using char data type. So if the user input A, character A, the system will display the grade point is 4.0, and then it will do the break. And then if the case B, the grade point is 3.0, and then if the case C, the grade point is 2.0, if the case D, the grade point is 1.0, if the case F, the grade point is 0. So the compiler will determine which case is belong to the grade entered by the user. So by default, if there is no A, B, C, D or F, the compiler or the program will display the grade is invalid. So for the next example is to determine the eligibility for voting based on their age using switch case statement. So in addition to being a variable identifier or complex expression, the switch expression can be evaluated to a logical value. It is different between if and if-else statement. In switch structure, if we have more than one statement to be executed, we does not need to make compound statement or put the statement in curly braces. This is because it will follow the case label itself. As you can see in line 10, I use the logical expression to check whether the person is eligible to vote or not. If age greater than equal 18, then they eligible to vote. As you can see, I put the case 1. 1 here indicate value true, meanwhile 0 indicate value false. So if the expression in line 10 is true, compiler will execute line 13 and 14. But if the expression in the line 10 is false, then the compiler will execute statement in line 17 and 18. So next, we go on the third example for switch structure. As you can see here, the problem to determine the graduation status of the student based on their CGPA using switch case statement. This is the same example that I use for nested if statement, but here I convert it to switch case statement. You can see the difference here. So as you can see in line 12, in line 12 and line 26, I use, instead of case 0 or case 1, I use the case true or case false. As you all know, you can use true or false instead of 1 and 0, respectively, in the case label. So you see in line 12, 17, 20, and 26, I use true and false instead of 1 or 0. You can also use nested switch statement to incorporate multi-level selection, such as this example. So if the expression in line 10 is true, compiler will execute line 13. As you can see, there is another expression need to be checked in line 15 under case label true. If the expression in line 15 is true, then execute. you are in Dean list. Otherwise, if false, you are not in the Dean list. Then the case true at line 12 will be break or exit. What will happen if the expression in line 10 is false? Then compiler will execute line 27. Your CGPA is below graduation requirement and you need to see the academic advisor. So that's all for today's video, which is we already covered about the multi-way selection. I already shared with you about multi-way selection, the use of nested if statement and switch structure. Hopefully you can try at home all these examples that I showed to you using the Dev C++ compiler. So hopefully you will enjoy this video and take care, stay at home. Thank you. Bye bye.